Hello, this is Felix Redmond for WUVT News. As a kickoff to our online publication, I sat down with Karen Baker, the Democratic candidate for Virginia's 9th Congressional District. Baker faces longtime incumbent Morgan Griffith for the seat that represents 19 counties, including parts of 3 others in Southwest Virginia. An accompanying article can be found on our site at wuvt.vt.edu/news. I hope you would keep an eye out for more stories to come and enjoy the interview. Why don't you start out by telling our viewers a little bit about yourself and what brought you to Southwest Virginia?
Okay, first of all, I've been a practicing attorney 45 years. I'm also a retired federal administrative law judge, and I'm a nurse. And the nurse is the last thing I did professionally. I was a judge for 17 years after having been a trial lawyer for 13 years and decided I needed a change after 30 years of lawyering. So I went to nursing school. While I was judging during the day, I was going to community college during the night to take all my prerequisites. And when I retired after 30 years of federal service, I went into nursing school and then worked in a small rural hospital in the ICU. I came to Virginia after my husband died. We had a farm in South Carolina, and when he died, I needed a change. So I came to Virginia and had a farm here as well. And it is my home. Virginia speaks to me in a way that no place has ever spoken to me anywhere I've ever lived. And I've lived all over the place.
As I understand, I think you're in Floyd, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, I gotta say, that's a beautiful town. I've
It
been there
is,
with my father to visit the Floyd Country Store.
like
So,
everyone
yeah.
else has done, right? Yes, and I had the farm here until last year. I moved into town and I live a block from the country store now. So it's very nice.
Well, yeah, that sounds wonderful. Yeah. So you touched a little bit on this, but yeah, you started out your career as a lawyer,
Yes,
for 45 years, you said?
I've been a lawyer
Yep.
45 years.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm old.
that is
Yes.
that's really impressive. Um, but after moving into nursing, what made you decide to change it up again and move into politics?
Well, I never pictured myself being a politician or running for office. This past February, Democrats in Floyd asked me if I would run for Congress. And at first I said, me, why? And they said, well, you have a good background and you're capable of doing this. And I decided to do it. Initially, it was an act of service. I've always served. My whole career has been about service. And so I said, I will serve to do this. But now I've been campaigning since March, and I really want this job. I am a very active campaigner. I'm on the road every day doing events. And I see what could happen in this district if we had the kind of leadership that cared about us, that saw what we need and listened to what the people say, and then went out and did it. I've been negotiating my entire life. In every job I've ever had, I think that I can negotiate with the other side in Congress and work toward getting things that rural districts need.
Well, that actually brings me to another talking point I had. So you're running for those of you who don't know, uh, Karen is running for the 9th congressional district of Virginia for the House of Representatives.
Yes.
Um, so the House has a lot of pretty radical members right now.
Mhm.
Um, how do you expect to deal with members who might not be willing to compromise?
Well, let me say that my opponent, Morgan Griffith, is one of those radical members. He's a member of the Freedom Forum. He's an election denier. And not only did he not certify the election, he actively joined multiple lawsuits to have the election overturned. So we know what he is. How I would deal with people is this. First of all, rural delegates need each other. We have been forgotten for a long time, and we need things in our district, and we need to work together. I think that there are a lot of Republicans out there that can be convinced to work together to get the things we need. I am all about my district. I'm all about getting for us the jobs and healthcare in particular that we need, and more support for education. And I think that I am not alone in this, whether there's a Republican in the district or a Democrat, all rural districts need this. So I have, like I said, I've been negotiating my whole life. I've gotten a lot of people to come around, if not to my entire way of thinking, at least to a good compromise that moves us forward. I believe that compromise can be a win-win situation where both sides get what they need and feel good. And that's what I intend to do in Congress, is work with others to compromise and move forward.
I've got to say that's a pretty admirable goal. I know a lot of people who would much rather have exactly their way all the time. But yeah, compromise is really important for especially a functioning democracy.
Yes, that's right. Old style little d democracy demands compromise. And like I said, I'm good at it. I know how to do it. I've always done it. So I would go to Congress. I will go to Congress with a plan to charm and compromise.
Wonderful. So on the topic of what you'll take into Congress, how do you think your past has do you think your past has given you special skills that you can apply to
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. And I already talked a little bit about being a lawyer. In the law, and I know people think that trial lawyers just are in court all the time, but when you do big cases like I did, very large litigation pieces, they go on for years. And going to trial is always a crapshoot. Maybe you'll win it all, maybe you will lose it all, maybe the judge will come somewhere in between, but it's much better to get 2/3 of the way down the road of where you want to go than risk having nothing. So I've done both. I've compromised. I've gone to trial. I've gone to trial and won. I've gone to trial and lost. And the compromises that have finished a number of large cases that I've been involved in are always good ones. Like I said, that both sides have a win and both sides buy into moving forward with the compromise. That's a good thing. I know how to do that, and I can do that in Congress. As well, as an administrative law judge, I've certainly have been involved in the administrative process. I understand how agencies work. As a trial lawyer, I became the head of systemic litigation for the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. I had to make budgets for Congress. I've testified before Congress. I know how one needs to present data. So in everything I've done as a nurse, the same thing. I know a lot about the healthcare system, but I also know how to speak with people, how to listen to people, and how to get people to understand what I see and what I want to proceed on. So these are all skills that I have honed in 45 years of a career.
Yeah. What goals would you be working towards?
Well, I am aware that as a freshman member of Congress, I'm really low on the totem pole. I want to do is first, I want to get to know very well other rural representatives and work with them about the things that we all need. The things that we need, and one of the goals I have is to get my district some decentralized rural health clinics, building on a federal program that already exists called PACE programs that provide care that is home care, physician care, prescription care, meals and transportation to individuals age 55 and over who are on Medicaid. That program in Southwestern Virginia is very successful, and I've talked to the people that run it, and we can expand this into care for everyone on Medicaid, from birth until death. And we could do this using what's already there. And so that's my first priority. Whoops. Sorry about that. That's my dog.
Oh, I don't think it got picked up on the
Oh,
microphone, so it's all
oh,
right.
good, good.
Yeah.
So that's my first priority, is to see if we can provide legislation to get decentralized rural healthcare going, not only in my district, but in other districts, building on what we already know. The second thing that I want to do is to work very hard to bring businesses to Southwest Virginia. This is not an easy task. This is a matter of working with local jurisdictions and getting people to work across the county lines, getting boards of supervisors in one county and another county to work together to figure out what we can do and to get the community colleges on board, and then go out and woo businesses. It's not a thing that happens in a week or a month or possibly even a year, but it is something incredibly important. My predecessor, my Democratic predecessor, Rick Boucher, did this, and he was a master at it. He did things, for example, I'll give you an example of that. He put together a co-op of sheep farmers and got them a market at Food City. And so the co-op had a place to sell its meat, and it had set prices, and it worked very well. Once he was left office, because Morgan Griffith came in instead, it fell apart. But that's an example of what can be done when you're working with local people, listening to their needs, going out, finding ways to make things happen. And that's what I want to do for the district.
When you say you want to attract businesses to the area, do you mean small businesses, or are you looking for something larger as well?
Well, I support small local businesses. They're the backbone of of Southwest Virginia. But I also want to get larger businesses, and we have a desperate need for good paying jobs. Our young people are leaving the district in droves because there aren't good paying jobs for them. And this needs to change. We need to support, for example, our family farms, because they are the stewards of conservation and helping to keep back climate change through keeping land in forests and pastures. But if the young people leave, then the farms will leave too. So we need good jobs, preferably union jobs, but we need good jobs. So they mean larger. And that means just getting our community colleges to design training that supports the needs of an employer coming in, and working intimately with the employers and the political jurisdictions to make it all happen.
Right. Well, on that topic, on your platform, I read that you intend to review regulatory burdens for small businesses. What exactly did you mean by that?
Well, I am told by small business owners that the amount of reporting and paperwork that they have to do is very difficult for them, and that they need to have some relief from that. And I have to say that I don't know exactly what they're talking about, but I'm very open to listening to the owners of small businesses who need some relief. I've asked people, I'll do a forum. Tell me what you need, and then I can make it happen. So this will be a matter of listening to my constituents. This idea came up for the first time. I went to the Maple Syrup Festival in Grayson County, and several small business owners were telling me that they really needed relief. And I said, you tell me when you want to meet, I will meet, and we will work out a way to address your concerns.
So
That's where
you're
it comes from.
so
Yeah.
you're very open to public opinion and public forum.
Absolutely. I am going to be the listener in chief for this district because I need to know what people need. I need to know what's not working for them so that I can help to fix it. I don't come to this job with predetermined ideas about what should be happening in the district. I'm going to base what I do on what people need and what we can accomplish together. So that means constant flow of communication between me and the constituents. I've already told people, that I will be, if I get elected to Congress, I will be in the district every weekend in a different county or a different city, available for people to come and talk to me. I want people to talk. I want to know what they need, and I want to do it for them.
So how do you expect to handle it when maybe people's needs conflict with each other? Like if there's a big business that's driving, like a big box store that's driving local businesses out of town, but also providing a ton of jobs.
Well, I will tell you that that's not much of a problem in my district, but it could be someday well, and the thing is that when there are conflicting needs, you have to work through those needs so that people are communicating with each other as well. When we set priorities, those priorities have to be with the input of the people. Always, always, always. So I will constantly be listening and responding, and then asking more questions and getting people together to talk, because that's the only way that this district moves forward.
Moving to a slightly different topic. Out of Actually, hang on, I might have to cut this part. I can't remember if I asked this question already.
Well,
Um,
if you did,
but
I'll tell you.
did I ask out of all of your campaign issues, which would you say is most important right now? Did I ask that one?
Um,
I don't.
you did not ask that question.
Okay.
Let me tell you this, that there are a number of needs for the ninth district. And in some ways, they need to be all addressed at once. If you address one and not the other, you don't get where you're needing to go. So it's a daunting problem, in that we need better healthcare, we need jobs, we need our family farms supported, we need small businesses supported, and our education for our kids is a huge priority as well, because we're the allocation that we get from Virginia is not sufficient to bring our schools up to standard. For years and years and years, we've not had the funds, and you can't say, well, now we're allocating generously and you'll be fine. We have all kinds of catch up to do. So here, they all have to be addressed, all of them. And the first thing that I think that I can do, because there's already a template, is working on healthcare. Everybody says that our healthcare needs are horrible here. Ballad Health has a monopoly in southwestern Virginia that was granted by the state of Virginia, and the results of a monopoly are not surprising. The healthcare is totally unacceptable. Because we have a template in the PACE programs, it's something that might be accomplishable within my first term. But that does not mean that all the other components of this are not going to be addressed as well, because everything has to be addressed. And so you look at what are the easiest parts, and then you look at where to go. And with everything I want to do, I'm going to be talking and listening to my district and deciding as a group how we proceed.
All right. Well, so in that case, you expect it to be more about, or you expect your first term to be more about laying a framework for tackling larger issues?
Well, that's part of it. But I want to hit the ground running when I get to Congress. Immediately, getting together with rural representatives from all across Appalachia to see if the ideas I have for healthcare resonate with them, and whether we can work together for that end. And I think they will, because I think that our experience in Southwest Virginia is not different than other rural districts' experience. So we can find a way to move forward quickly on that, not just laying a framework, but possibly even getting legislation and moving forward, building on what's already existing. Other things, yes, it'll be laying a framework. For example, getting businesses into Southwest Virginia is a matter of identifying possible businesses with my staff, with economic development authorities in each of the counties, and getting out there and wooing businesses to come to Southwest Virginia. And we have some pretty compelling reasons to get people here. First of all, we have very hard workers in Southwest Virginia. The culture of Appalachia is to work hard, not complain, work hard. And so our people are ready to work. Our students are very, very education oriented. We have more college students in Southwest Virginia than in any other region of Virginia. People want to learn, they're very motivated, and we can demonstrate that to possible employers. And our community college system has been very flexible in terms of designing specific training modules for business needs. So we can do this.
All right. So on the topic of jobs and business,
yeah.
On your website, you mention you have an entire page on coal miners.
Yes.
So in that page, you say, quote, that we need to bring more good paying jobs to the 9th district. And
yes.
We've touched on that already. But do you believe some of those jobs lie in coal mining?
There's two things about this. I mean, we know that coal is eventually on the way out. However, right now, metallurgical coal, which is what is mined in southwestern Virginia, is the key component to making steel. And the United States has lost a lot of steel production to China. And the way the world is now, that steel production has to come home. It's a national security issue. So coal is going to be necessary for that for some time. And as well, let me say that there are some, particularly in Japan, efforts to do clean coal for heating and electricity that have been very successful in Japan. So we can do this here because, for example, in colder states in the wintertime, they need coal to keep the temperatures up. Steel production, like I said, is a national security issue. Southwest Virginia's coal is perfect for steel production, and that will be, I think, ramped up in coming years. And I would add that there are coke is the product that's used to make steel. There are non-coke ways of making steel. Some of them are experimental, some of them are very expensive. We'll probably need all of them to ramp up our steel production, but our coal will be important. So there's a continuing need for our coal, for metallurgical coal. And of course, it's been exported all over the world. It's still going on because other countries have taken up our steel production and they're using our coal. However, there's going to have to be transition along the line for miners, and they are technicians who know their stuff and they're hard workers. And we need to have good jobs for them to transition to when that day comes, and also for their children and their children's children to have good, well-paying jobs. That means industrial type jobs, or it could mean even something like running greenhouses indoors. I mean, there's lots of ways that people could do good jobs and make good money besides continuing with coal. But for the foreseeable future, we have a tremendous need for our coal.
Well, you say that, but metallurgical coal specifically, it's used in steel production, but
yes.
In the US, 70% of our steel is recycled. It's not being newly produced. And I believe that is somewhere around 60% worldwide. That trend is going more and more towards recycling. So do you think it might be wiser to invest more in recycling technologies than
in steel production? Well, and I will say this, though, the companies that are doing recycling are now also building steel mills because the recycled steel is not enough. And so, you know, not much in this world is either or. It's always a matter of doing everything you can do at one time. So we can't say, well, we'll just do recycling, because we know we need brand new steel too. So we'll do both. And I agree, recycling is good and important, and we need both.
All right. Well, another piece I wanted to touch on with coal mining is in the state of Virginia, there are only about 2,300 people employed in the mining industry. And it's an industry that is increasingly getting more and more automated. So when you ramp up coal mining, it's going less and less into the pockets of the workers in the area and more into the pockets of the CEOs. How do you expect to balance that out with our need for coal?
Well, I will say this, that we do need to, first, let me say this, that it's always been the case that the money's going into the pockets of CEOs and the others out of state. Traditionally, Southwest Virginia has been a place where people come in and take our resources and leave with the money. They don't invest it in their community, in our community. They go out of state with the money. And so that's not different than it's ever been. I'd like to change that. I'd like to work with companies that are interested in putting down roots here. And the coal barons certainly have always done that. So what do we do for the people that still work there? You don't want to take away their jobs, and they don't want their jobs taken away. We do have to have some controls on strip mining. There's got to be further control on making sure that mining does not foul the rivers and streams of our district, because our rivers and streams, our water is one of our major assets. Water and grass are huge assets in the 9th district. And you don't want either to be destroyed by anything. So future plans of mining barons to completely automate or to get rid of more workers will be addressed in part by the United Mine Workers, who have worked very hard for their membership to keep the jobs that are traditionally theirs and to avoid further automation that, as you said, just is used to put more money in the coffers of those who take it away from our state. So those are challenges that we face. United Mine Workers is always on it and always watching and being proactive to keep those good jobs here.
All right. Well, unfortunately, I think we're running out of time in the Zoom room. So just I wanted to quickly touch on actually two things. One, would it be possible if we could see your dog?
Yes, it would be possible. Yes.
All right. And then two, is there anything else that we haven't discussed today that you would like our viewers to know, either about you or about your platform?
I think we've discussed, I think it's very clear that I'm going to be a hands-on member of Congress working with my district, pulling my district together, having us all work together so that we are as one to move forward. We can't live in a situation where it's a zero-sum game, that if one county gets something, that means the others didn't, and we're all fighting for the same pie, but it's all zero-sum. I want us to work together to advance our district. So that's what I think is important to know. Now, you want to see my dog, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go get
All right.
Yeah. Oh dear, we're running out of time. So you have 5 minutes left.
Yep.
Okay, where's my dog? Oops. Okay, come here. Come on up. Come on, up. Come on, up. Okay, well, here we go. Here's my dog. Whoops, Gracie. Yeah.
Aw.
This is Gracie. She is a Anatolian Shepherd, Great Pyrenees Cross. And some people say it's the biggest dog they've ever seen. So she has a deep, whoops. She doesn't like being on TV. She has a deep bark, doesn't she? Yeah.
All
So
right.
anything else that you want to bring up? I do want to talk, well, there she is. I do want to talk about how I'm going about this campaign. This is important, okay? I need Republicans and independents to vote for me. I can't hold a forum and invite everybody to come and expect them to come. I need to talk to them where they are, which means that I am constantly out in the district. Now you can probably hear her, can't you? Yeah. I'm
Just
constantly out in the district meeting people that are not my choir. They're not automatically disposed to vote for me. I talk to them about what we need. I talk to them about what my vision is for being their representative, how I want to be with them and work for them. And I also work every week. I work at food banks. I work at, I've parked cars for events. So I want people to know that I not only will work for you, but I work for you now. And so that's my campaign. It's always out and about, sometimes 3 and 4 events a day where it's unscripted. I'm not speaking into the crowd. I'm talking to people, one person at a time, person by person by person.
all right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to meet with us. It's been lovely having you on.
Well,
Yeah,
it's been lovely being with you too.
all right.